Hey, I want to thank everybody for tuning into a special edition SCSportsWorld.com. I'm Luther Dupree, joined. I got my man Ronell Stackhouse, the Brashear Bullet for life, and we got the legend Will Macon, Perry legend DePaul, did his thing at the highest of levels. Again, number to call 412-231-2288. Talking all basketball, all hoops, but we got to start talking about high school hoops. We're going to do a round table. Alderdice started off, a lot of hype this year, and they ended up, losing the Roman Catholic. I know you have some thoughts on the whole Philadelphia system, but, that brought us back. When we were on the road trip up there, we said, man, we need to talk about the greatest teams. And but I'll let you jump in. I know you wanted to say something about the Philadelphia, just the whole situation, Stat.
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate the real PIAA Quad A state champion, Alderdice Dragons.
The real.
That's right. Their final record says 28-2, but their real record is 29-1 in my eyes. Because if they would have played any public school team in Philadelphia, they would have wiped them off the map. But what do Philadelphia do? They go out and load up and bring in Larry Johnson. Ooh. They bring in Lamar Stevens, also known as Larry Johnson. I mean, he was a phenomenal player. I'll give him that.
Man, yeah.
But they had to load up to repeat as state champion. Alderdice is the best real team in Pennsylvania, and they went out and proved it night in, night out, day in, day out. It frustrates me to see that you have a bunch of guys who work as hard as they do, who sacrifice and practice day in and day out, and they don't get rewarded with the gold ball because you got teams out east that recruit to win state championships. There's one school I respect out there in the East, and that's Chester. They do it the right way. I student taught in Chester years ago. Those kids from Chester are from Chester. Okay. Now, they are the top program in Pennsylvania. I'll give them that. But those are all Chester kids, for the most part, that win. This Roman Catholic team was an all-star team. That Newman Goretti team in AAA was an all-star team. I congratulate Mars also. Mars was the best real AAA team in Pennsylvania.
Man, they got smoked, man.
But
I mean, they got smoked, bro. Come on, man.
They did, but that Newman Goretti team is a bunch of recruits too. You get an all-star team together, you should win. If we go back to the old PIAA,
so what you're saying. Now, maybe, Pittsburgh, our side needs to look at things a little differently. Because now you got guys transferring, the Whippeal saying no, they're not able to play the PIAA.
Right.
And meanwhile, like you said, was it Lamar Stevens? Last year, he wasn't on the team.
He wasn't on the team.
But he said he wanted to play his senior year, put it out there publicly.
That's right.
And nothing. So, like you said, Alderdice might have beaten the team last year. But when you put a Lamar Stevens out there, 27 points, highlight dunk after highlight dunk, it's a different story. I mean, it's a whole, like you said, it's a whole different ball game when you can just pick and choose. Meanwhile, we got to stay in the limits. If they think you're transferring for basketball, you're not playing that year. I mean, it's not right. Me personally, I hate the Catholic system being in, with public schools and all these other ones. I mean, you see a Central Catholic, you see a Roman Catholic. It's just unfair. Will, what's your thoughts on the whole situation?
I see Ronell's point, and he's got some good points, but I'm a firm believer in Bill Parcells in that you are what your record says you are, all right? Me and Ronell have gone back and forth with this in backyard discussions, but this is something that we fought for in Western PA basketball. We always wanted to feel like that we were being underserved when we would go up there and play against the other side of the state's team, whether it be Reading or Chester's. Right. But then there would be like a little elephant in the room. Well, you won the state championship, but. And it was always that Philly, whether it was Catholic or publicly, that was always out there. So we really wanted to fight for that, to say we want to involve them in this whole, realm to see who's really the best of the best. Whether, we all know that Philly has always been known for great basketball, great boxing. That's true enough.
Right.
But we always felt that we could compete with them guys, not on a year-by-year basis, but when we had that special team. Taking this year, you had the Alderdice Dragons. According to your guy smoking Jim Frazier over the last 24 months, greatest team of all time, okay? Whether they are, whether they're not, that's for the fans to decide. But the fact is that this is one of the best teams that we've ever seen in City League in a long time, period. Because I watched them play roughly about 5 games, and I got to know and love this team. As Ronell told me, say, hey, you got to come check this team out. I was kind of skeptical at first, but they just grew on me to say, hey, this team is legit. So I really wanted to see them go up against the best of the best. Say, what can they do? Because if they were to go up there, and as we're sitting there watching the game unfold in the first quarter, I'm saying these guys got a shot. They were taking it to them in the beginning. They had a quick 10-point lead. So I'm saying, like, hey, let's get it on. Let's see if they can bring home the gold ball. So I'm a firm believer in you are what your record says you are. They had a great season, but the Philly team was just a better team. And maybe there'll be another team down the road that's from the City League that we'll be able to get behind again and say, but you always want to play against the best, and that's what we fought for. So you got to be happy about that.
I'm happy, and I've always wanted the Philly schools in, and I still want them there. I just want them to play by the same rules as the rest of Pennsylvania, and that's my only problem. They don't play by the same rules. I have a friend in Kelly who is on the show from time to time. Me and him talked to a media member in Philadelphia that said kids will transfer in season and play. This is a media member in Philadelphia.
But Ronell, let me stop you there. Doesn't this sound familiar? 20 years ago, they were saying the same thing about Perry Traditional Academy. We were considered to be a magnet school at that time. We're not the same Perry High School that you know today that's, a gentrification-fied school that's combining Oliver and Perry. At one time, Perry was known as Perry Traditional Academy for all those out there that don't know, okay? You had to score a certain grade average, whatever middle school you were from, in order to get into the school. However, that was our way around that, the best players wanted to go play with one another, and they swore up and down that Chuck Franklin was recruiting. And it just wasn't true. I went to Perry because I really wanted to follow in the footsteps of Darrell Porter and Ricky Cannon. I saw what was going on over there, and I saw that those players were big-time players. They were legendary. So that's why I wanted to go there. I didn't want to go to my home school, and I wanted to become a part of a winning tradition. So we can't say what's actually going on the other side of town. Now, I've heard some rumors as well. Ronell can speak to this much better than I can, but what I can tell you is whenever your team is stacked like that, there's always going to be saying things in the air about, well, this guy got recruited, whatever. You still want that as an athlete. You want to compete against the best. You want them to come as stacked as possible, because if you happen to just get over that hump and beat them, nobody can take that away from you. You're a legend for life. That's just the way I feel about it.
I just want them to play by the same rules, because out here, that Lamar Stevens thing wouldn't have flew.
No, he wouldn't have played this year. He would have sat out this year, and he would have to get everything off AAU.
And the other 11 districts around Pennsylvania, that probably doesn't happen. But in District 12, that happens. According to Mike White, they openly said Coach McNesby didn't recruit me that hard. When it's quotes saying things about being recruited, the PIAA needs to step in and say something about it.
But again, it's a Catholic school. You know what I mean?
But when you use the word recruit, out here, he sits. In Philadelphia, he plays. And that's all I want, is everyone to play by the same rules. That's all I care about.
Now, if he wanted to go to Central Catholic and made that statement, you think he wouldn't have played?
Oh, he wouldn't have played. Not out here in the West.
I don't know. I mean, Central gets around a whole lot of stuff, so I don't know about that stat. Hey, let's jump to these phone lines real quick. We'll get right back to that. Caller, say your name, where you're calling from.
What's up, Luke? This is Good News, man.
Hey, what's going on?
Man, but I was
My man, Good News.
I was on the bus going to Chambersburg. I was under the weather. What's up, Big Will?
How you doing, brother?
Glad you're feeling better, man.
Are you feeling better, man?
I'm a lot better now, man.
Hey, man, one thing I can say about you, man, if I ever take a road trip, you're going to be the first person I call, because you a real trooper, man.
Yeah, man, you
took that cold in stride, man. I'm a little baby when I get sick, man. I be wrapped up in the covers calling for my mom with a bowl of soup, man.
Yeah, I want to comment on y'all, little topic or something.
Okay.
I wasn't able to make the trip up to Hershey to see the game, but I watched it on TV. And and I feel Stock where he's coming from as far as saying, why would you turn it the fuck? I see where he's coming from, where they getting recruited or whatever, but I think Alderdice was able to play with them, man, and I really think that Big Jordan Ross by him getting in foul trouble early really hurt Alderdice.
Yeah.
You know?
First
You
quarter,
know,
they were right in it. You know,
Right.
When
You
Duggar
know?
ended the first quarter with that dunk, you were like, all right, well, they could play with them. Second quarter, they started getting those fouls. You know, they put some backups in, and the turnovers started happening.
Right.
When they put that press on with the backups, that's where it started to get a little ugly in that
Right.
second quarter. You're right.
You know,
Good
but
news.
you know, and
I
another
got a
thing is-
question for you, though. You just said you agree with Ronell. That's fair enough. Let's say if Alderdice would have ended up popping them and win by 5. Would you still agree with Stackhouse? And I defer back to you. Would you still be talking about in regards to this recruitment? If Alderdice would have went back, would you have had a problem with it then if Alderdice would have happened to win the game?
It wouldn't have come up.
It wouldn't
have come up,
and that's
man.
my whole point. We're not even having this discussion. And we saw, you were there, Gnu. Alderdice in the first quarter, Roman Catholic didn't see anything like that all year. I really was thinking, like, man, this could be Alderdice's night. And if they win by 4 or 5, I don't even think we're having this discussion right now.
And you know what, Will? You're exactly right. But also, I'm going to be honest with you. I was really unaware of, you know what I mean, as far as doing this Roman Catholic team recruiting and stuff, you know what I mean? I don't know nothing about
crazy.
that. I wasn't aware of that until after the fact of the day that they lost. Ronell was telling me about how Philadelphia, you know, the Catholic League recruits and all that, this, that, and the third. But with that being said, I still think Alderdice was able to play with them guys. And for them to recruit all them different, you know what I mean, high athletes, Division I athletes, put them together to make an all-star team, I really think Alderdice was able to play with them. Also, you got to take into consideration this too. The Alderdice team, there was a lot of football players.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I really think if a lot of them dudes focus on basketball all year round, then, you know, it would be a different thing. You know what I mean? Because them dudes, you got to take your hats off to Alderdice, man. Because we haven't
Absolutely.
seen, we haven't seen
no
nothing like
doubt.
this since the 07 Shinley team. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
took us on a nice ride, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's a shame that it ended the way it ended. But like I said, again, I think that Jordan Rawls, by him getting in early foul trouble, was hurt them a lot because he was able to hit the outside shot.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
I
then
agree.
Big Tim Pugh, you got to take your hats off to the guy. Take your hats off to him, man. You know what I mean?
I thought he stood his
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
his
You know-
ground pretty good, and I agree with you. I thought in the end, it was chickens coming home to roost because one of the things that me and Stack had been saying all season long is they were getting over on their talent and pulling away from games in the second half.
Right,
And
right.
they were never using their fundamental skill in order to box out. And I think
That's
that
the key.
finally
The
got them from
rebounding
the
finally
second
got
quarter
them.
on. That team started to wear them down with their size. And I was telling my teammate, Tally Thompson, I was telling him, I said, this team kind of reminds me of the old 91 Perry team in that we had a lot of talent, but we also methodically wore you down as the game wore on with our size. And I think
Right.
that's what you saw in that game.
Right.
Mhm.
So,
That's true.
I
But
agree.
still,
That's
but
true.
still
I
a phenomenal season
Great
by Alderdice.
season.
You got to tip your hat to those guys.
And you saw another different, like you said, rebounding. But those guys, you know, after a while, the physical strength, they just started moving those guys out. I mean, Stevens, NBA body already.
Oh, yeah.
And you
He-
saw,
he was a grown man.
And one thing, you know, you saw is the difference. It seemed like they were hitting those weights. And
Absolutely.
Alderdice, you know, a
You
lot
could
of
see,
longer,
you could
thinner.
see, you could see
You
even
could see that.
James Jackson's his build, his wiry
Mm-hmm.
thickness in the game. The guy that he was guarding, the other guy that's going to Penn State, the name slips
Tony
my mind.
Clark, is that? No.
Tony.
Yeah.
But his
Boston
body
Bruins,
was built
yeah.
like an NFL receiver, man, just
yeah.
compared to them. And it just made me realize that, you know, even though Alderdice had, you know, a lot of skill, they still got to do what's required of them in the weight room as well.
You could see that game. I mean, when you saw them matched up side by side, you said, man, these guys been hitting the weights.
Those are-
Absolutely.
You know?
Those are excellent points.
Yeah. Hey, Gnu, you got another point? We got a couple more calls.
Oh yeah, I just got one more question, man. Then I'm gonna let y'all go, man. This is retaining to the. I want all three of y'all to give me your number one. Will, I know you're a little bit biased, Will. You know, 91 period. Give me the best high school team you've seen in about the last 30, 40 years. Yeah. And I'm gonna let y'all talk, but I like talking to y'all, man. Go ahead, I'll listen to y'all.
All right. Hey, man, I got to go with the 2007 Shinley Spartans team. That's the best team I've seen. You know, I was a little young back in the 91, but I remember going to those Perry games, man. Y'all was the greatest show, you know, live that I've seen, and you had to get in there early to get a seat in that little box. But, for me, it's definitely the 2007 Shinley team. I mean, they did some amazing things, and, you know, that's the best team I've seen live.
My opinion, and of course, this is hard for me. The starting lineup of 07 Shenley was great.
True.
But 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, no one can mess with that.
The team was loaded, man.
Perry was loaded.
They had guys like Abu coming off the bench, man.
So I'm always gonna lean toward, 91 Perry, and it's it's kind of a homer reason because I got my man. I can't go against my man. I'm sorry.
I know this is going to shock you, Gnu, but I gotta keep it 100. I'm the type of person that always respect my elders, but we can't deny that the golden age of basketball was in the 70s.
Yeah.
So I will always defer to the 1971 Shenley team and the 1976 Fifth Avenue squad that had Sam Clancy, Warner Macklin, and Puffy Kennedy.
Yeah,
71 had Maurice Lucas, Ricky Coleman, Jeet Kelly. They will always be known as the greatest, in the modern era in regards to Pittsburgh basketball. However, when it comes to the last couple decades, I'm a little biased, but I always got to defer to my teammates because, like Ronell said, that's going to tip the scales. Being honest with you guys, I didn't get to see the 2017 with Shenley. I heard about those guys. I thought DeJuan Blair was a phenomenal player at Pitt.
Yeah.
I watched DJ Kennedy when he played against DePaul. I shook his hand. I thought he was a great player as well. But if you're just talking strictly on a high school level, okay, I would say that myself and DeJuan Blair on the high school level probably would be a wash. And then you got some other players in regards to like Malik Hightower going against DJ Kennedy, James Billingsley with Onion and DeAndre Kane, Eddie Benton. But we just keep going deeper and deeper. When you're talking Randy Young, Ty Lee Thompson, all-lead thrower, Kevin Hunt. I just think that we might have been able to outlast those guys, but that's just me just being biased. But I give a lot of props to the 2017 because, a couple of those guys made it to the NBA, and I respect that a lot.
Yeah, that 91 team was loaded, man. Hey, but let's jump to the phone lines. Call us, say your name, where you're calling from.
Hey, guys, this is Sean.
Hey, what's going on, Sean?
Hello, Sean.
Sorry I couldn't
What's up, Sean?
make it into the show, but I was able to get off work on time to call in.
Okay. Well, have you heard some of the topics we've been talking about?
I heard a little after GNU. I didn't hear what y'all started the show out with, but I know us three guys, we've been covering Altered Ice the past 2 years, so
Right.
I guess Altered Ice is the topic of discussion today.
Oh, of course. In high school in general, and GNU, he was trying to get us to name the best team that we've seen over the last, I guess, 10, 20 years or so.
Well, I'll throw something out there, and this is
Okay.
going to put a smile on Will's face. I never said this to you, but I'll pass it along to you, Will, and the Period 91 team as well. When I got out of college, I worked in Pottstown because I had family up there. And
No Pottstown well. That's who we beat in the state championship.
Yep. And one of the guys I worked with, he was a guard, Todd Lampier.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking and at work one day, he was like, what high school did you go to? And I told him I went to Perry. And I'll never forget what he said. And being, Pottstown's in the Philly area, you're used to, the Simon Gratz at that time. That was the big school out there.
Right.
He said when they came out on the floor in Hershey to play against your Perry team in the state finals, he said their whole team had to look at each other and said, are we facing a college team? Guys were. I don't know if you ever heard that, but one of the starting guards on the team, he told me to my face. And people don't understand your 91 team. Y'all don't get the credit that y'all do.
No, they don't.
Right.
Because y'all got upset by Shenley. But, I'm friend with the manager on the team, Lester Holmes, and he even told me that team was just focused on states. They just wanted to win states. That's all they wanted. That was it. And when I got a chance to work in Pottstown and I got to meet the guy Todd, and there was another guard from that Pottstown team. He went to West Virginia or Marshall with Malik Hightower, and he was like, yeah, man, when we played against that Perry team, that was like playing against a college team. We thought they were grown men in high school. And a lot of people don't understand, when us guys, when we were up at Hershey this year to see Altered Ice against Roman Catholic, first thing I said to myself with the people I was around, you guys, I said, Roman Catholic's the defending state champion, and they added a Larry Johnson type player on their team.
Right, that was crazy.
I was like, are you kidding me? And that was the difference in the game. What did he have, like 27, 28 points?
27 points.
Yeah, and they were basically
Highlights.
second half
Yeah,
all
yeah.
dunks. And I appreciate you calling in, Sean. But yeah, that's something that I've been echoing and beating the pavement for with my team because even Ronell even brought this point up. He was just like, back then, to Alderdice's defense, even a Philadelphia school back in your day, you would have been an underdog. I kind of disagree with that because what I do know back then is I went to the Nike All-American camp, and a lot of people don't know that. That was back in 1990. That was going into my senior year. I knew who the top prospects out of Philly were. It was Bernard Jones from Roman Catholic and Kareem Towns, who was an exciting college player for LaSalle University. Bernard even told me at camp, he said, man, we've been hearing about you guys since your freshman year, and now you got Malik Hightower coming on your team. So the best teams in Philadelphia that year were looking up to us and making sure that they didn't want to, face us. But of course, they didn't have the rule in effect yet to involve the Philadelphia teams. Okay. So I really thought that I didn't care who we played in the state. And just to add another point to that, when we played Poncetown, you guys thought you saw Larry Johnson and Lamar Stevens. Well, we did play against Larry Johnson and a guy by the name of Dale Savage. Okay. He jab faked me at the top of the key and went down and dunked on our whole team and shook the whole arena. Back then it was at Hershey Park Arena. Right. I mean, he just was a man among boys. We could not stop this guy. So I believe that we actually played the best team in '91 if you go back and check the stats. So that's why I'm here, just to educate people locally on when they bring up, Philly schools and things of that nature about City League history. I'm that much of a historian that I could add some input to that.
And when Mike White conveniently forgets to mention the '91 Perry team is one of the great ones.
Conveniently.
Every year, conveniently misses that.
And that's a slap in our face because what they don't understand is we all know that Quad A division ball is the biggest school division. What people don't know is back then, AAA ball was heads and shoulders in regards to basketball. You had Blackhawk, you had Dante Calabria that played at North Carolina. You had our team, you had Shenley, who could have easily played us to go to the state championship because we played them 3 times that year. We beat them twice during the regular season. They beat us in the City League championship. I'll give them kudos to that, but we had bigger fish to fry that year because we had our eyes on Hershey, but I'll still give them credit. Then you had a Langley team who had Division I player by the name of Bruce Patterson. A lot of people don't remember him. He's definitely a city legend that played at UNC Charlotte, one of the greatest players that I ever saw play. So you had all these teams competing on the AAA level. It was just so competitive. Seton LaSalle, I mean, you just team after team, and Aliquippa was always a thorn in our side to get past them if you wanted to get to Hershey. So that's why I'm here.
Okay. Hey, Sean, real quick, because we do have a couple other calls. The Fab Five came out. What were your thoughts about, who they selected?
I agree with the Fab Five. Here's my thing, and I had an argument with people from Aliquippa about this. They made a comment about, some of their players should have made the Fab Five.
Jordan, Jordan.
They wasn't making it over Ramon and James Jackson. I mean, Aliquippa was like, oh, well, we went undefeated and this and that. And I said, well, look at Alderdice's schedule. Alderdice lost to the single-A state champion, and they learned from that game to get to Hershey. Right. Their coach learned, we got to change our style. We got to attack. We can't be passive. We have to be aggressive. And they learned from that game, losing to Kennedy. And only thing I could say is Mike White bias led to Nick Smith making it over Jasir Jordan or Robbie Carmody.
Right.
And Will, remember me, all of us guys, we were at the Alderdice Mars game. Will, you even said Robbie Carmody's one of the top sophomores to come out of this area in a while. And for him not to make the Fab Five over Nick Smith and over Nelly Cummings, to me, was a joke. And the reason why I'm saying that is because their teams – they didn't make it as far. For Mars to make it to the Quad A finals, the AAA finals, that was a good run. And I just didn't get, the selections. Now, Josh Creech and Creighton and Jackson, them 3 deserve to make it.
Right.
The other 2 were in question, in my opinion.
I would have liked to see Jasir Jordan get on there, man. Aliquippa, point guard. He did his thing all year, man.
And you would think they were award-winning. The
Right.
past 2 years, they've only lost one game.
60
and the game
and
that
one.
they lost in the States last year was because Chucky Humphreys got in foul trouble early in the game.
Right.
And
right.
I guess Mike White had a bias against Aliquippa because of how great they were with Stephon McGinnis last year. Well, you can't use last year into this year.
Right. Right.
And can I say one more thing about Western Pennsylvania basketball?
Okay.
It is a joke that Ramon Creighton is not being recruited D1, but you have players like Nick Smith, Nellie Cummings, that either are getting mid-major offers or have offers, and Curtis Aiken's son, who got held back a grade and already has offers from Tennessee and Pitt. It is a joke on the landscape of high school basketball and, well, City League basketball, but let's look back at it. We should not be surprised because remember with the great Josh team of 07 with Herb Pope, Terrell Pryor, DeJuan Blair, who did Pitt offer first?
Right.
Terrell Pryor and Herb Pope.
You're right.
DeJuan Blair lived in walking distance to Pitt campus. They waited. How long did they wait to?
He fell into their laps, basically, to me. He fell into the laps. They should have been all over him. It should have been over. He
Tell
fell
us
into
how
the
you
laps.
really feel,
Right,
Sean.
right.
It's just a joke. It's just a joke. You know, you want to reward winning. You know, let's take it a step further. State semifinals. The top 30 recruit in the country ended up being a Gatorade Player of the Year, Lonnie Walker. All that I held him to 6 points.
Man, that was incredible.
Us
man.
guys, we were there. We saw that in person. Like, it was like, whoa. And you telling me these guys can't play on the D1 level?
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, man, you bring up some good points, man.
Sean goes in.
Yeah.
Sean
Tell me
goes
how you
in.
really feel.
Sean goes in.
Hey, Sean, we got to get to another call, man. But definitely, thanks for the call,
Thanks for
man.
calling, Sean.
We got to get you
Thanks.
on this round table when we have it. Hey,
Well, hopefully my schedule, just let me know in advance, and I'll try to make it.
all right, we're gonna make sure that happens, man. All right, Sean.
Okay, guys.
Hey, let's stay on the phone. Last caller, say your name. Where you calling from?
Hey, now, but we agree. We love you, Ronell.
We got Ronell, sir. Sharing
Ronell.
crew. All right, thanks for the call. You got the whole family calling in.
I don't even know who that was.
One of the fans. Hey, let's jump back into it. We talked about Alderdice. Maybe some people in the viewing audience didn't see it. Can we run some of those Alderdice clips? And we got a couple more things we have to get into. This is the Reading game. I mean, exciting, man. James Jackson was hitting all over. He dropped, 30 points. Everybody
that's
thought it
what
was going to
dreams
be.
are made of
right.
there. He
Here's
was just
Creighton
on
with the
fire.
J. You know, hopefully these guys could take it to the next level, man. Jordan was a big loss. Nice move.
Excellent move.
But I just think.
One thing about this game, this was for the viewers that weren't in attendance. This was a straight road game.
Yeah.
I mean, we got there and the lines were out the door and it was all red and black. We got
Both
in there-
levels.
Yeah.
I had chills
Both
in my
levels.
spines when I was just out there standing in the line. I had chills up and down my spine, brought back memories. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
It was a great atmosphere, and Alderdice pulled it out, and it was just it was a great ride back to Pittsburgh.
My man here, he had to walk out of the arena. You got to
Right,
tell him
right.
about it. With 5 minutes to go, I kept telling him it's about to be a blowout.
I kept
Ronell was
saying,
ready
"No,
to
it's not."
smack
I'm
me in my
like-
face.
Right.
Because I'm always in coach mode. I'm always in coach mode from my days of coaching Midget League football and
going
doing
back.
some college football work too. I'm always in coach mode.
All right. But yeah, definitely great year. We're running some of the games on PCTV and the web as well. Check it out. Just a tremendous team. And Buddy Valensky, the way the pressure was on him, I thought it was just great. Now, one thing we didn't mention, Dixon getting injured. I think that they still got to the state game. I think some of those dunks by Stevens, he might have caught a couple elbows to the midsection if Dixon was there, man. He was kind of the enforcer.
He was like Charles.
Not saying they
Oakley.
would have won, but he wouldn't have been doing all that high flying action.
He was a Charles Oakley type player that
Rick
can push the
Mahorn,
rock.
the
Yes.
bad boy, yeah. That was a big loss. I wanted to make sure I gave him some credit. People didn't think, well, they still made it to the state game. Yes, but that game is where you saw they needed that enforcer type who would get in there and bang a little more, had a little more weight on him, and wasn't scared to throw an elbow or two. Hey, real quick, number to call, 231-2288. got to get your questions on this March Madness. Coach K, you know, let's run some of those clips.
Coach
K.
Coach K.
I hate Duke, and I think, you know, most people, at least most black people I know hate Duke. I've hated him forever.
I don't.
You don't, because you would have been going there.
I wanted to play for him.
You could have been going there.
I don't.
But I hate Coach K. He talks bad to other players. His player, Grayson Allen, I think we have video of that. He's out there tripping players numerous times this year. He doesn't get the label of being a dirty player. This goes way back to Christian Laettner stepping on guys in the groin, not getting thrown out. They're allowed to win. Mike K is a great coach. No question asked. 970 wins. He's going to have 1,000 before it's all said and done. But come on, man, he gets away with a lot. He intimidates the referees out there just because he's not Bobby Knight throwing chairs out here. He still intimidates the referees. You watch a game, you got to beat them and you got to beat the referees because of Mike K. I just think I think he gets away with a little too much, man. He should have been talking to his own player, tripping people. He didn't even shake hands after they lost to Oregon. He walked off. Where's the hate? Is he a dirty player? Is he a sore loser? Cam Newton got a whole lot of flack for doing the same thing. I didn't hear any of it for Grayson Allen. But that's kind of my thing with the media, and that's why we're here. The white media is not going to get on these guys for doing the same thing, but let it be Cam Newton. He's a sore loser. This guy didn't even shake hands afterwards.
But isn't it needed, though?
Pardon me?
I said, isn't it needed, though? I said, this is, college basketball, just basketball as a whole, is pretty much our sport.
True.
When you're talking in terms of race.
Oh, yeah.
So when you finally have some Caucasian players that can actually play, like a Grayson Allen, like a J.J. Redick or a Christian Laettner, and they get in our faces, isn't it good for the sport?
It's good for the sport.
And I'm only saying that because,
I don't want the double standard. He should have. I still go back to Christian Laettner for kicking that man in the groin. Should have been kicked out. He should have missed the next game, and they might not have won that championship.
Was that 24 years ago? Huh?
24 years ago, I still remember the kick to the groin where he's allowed to continue. He gets a technical, but he doesn't get thrown out for the next game. He should have been ejected. They probably lose that game if he's ejected.
Oh, they definitely lose that.
But I still think it was great for the popularity of the game, though. We needed Christian Laettner.
We needed Christian Laettner, but he should have been playing by the same
rules. But we needed to see that. We needed to see that.
He was a bad boy. But he still got away with way too much.
He got away with that.
You know what I mean?
He got away with that.
They lose that game if he doesn't play because he was that bad of a player. He was that tough of a player, period.
But you still got to give those players a lot of credit. They play hard.
Oh, yeah.
They play great defense.
They play hard.
I'm just thankful that, you got guys in the game like that actually take the game that serious and play it that hard. Sometimes they do play it a little bit over the line or close to the edge.
I want them gone. I want him going. I mean, because I'm saying I've seen players do less get thrown out. What'd you say?
I just think it's good for the game. Besides the Christian Laettner when he actually, just stepped on, who was that, Amina Timberlake? I think other than that, with the Grayson Allen, you get that every so often where these guys got an edge to them and they play, really just next to dirty is the word that we use.
Right.
So I think it's really good for the game that, hey, we got to step our games up. This ain't about just running, jumping, and dunking. It's about, fundamentals, playing hard, taking charges, and Duke exemplify that year in and year out.
When they started doing that, taking charges to another level, I like the smack of floor, but the taking charges. That really irked me. Instead of playing D, run to the spot and stand there and take a charge. Anytime Duke is anywhere in the vicinity, it's an offensive charge. Well, not everybody gets those calls, but Duke gets them every single time.
Well, one thing you don't have to worry about, Duke's out of it this year.
Duke's out of it this year, but next year they're gonna reload again and be right back in it.
I don't know what is their recruiting class like. Is it strong this year? I'm not.
You know what? I haven't looked, but
I know Calipari cleans up. I know.
Well, Calipari, his whole team is declaring for the NBA, or they're gonna have to find another school. So he's just gonna reload. That's just what.
Tom Izzo's starting to get those McDonald's All-Americans to start coming to his school.
If I had a son that was actually a McDonald All-American, I would get on my knees and ask him to play for Tom Izzo. Greatest coach today, in my opinion.
He took a big L this year, though.
Yeah, he did. Man. But that doesn't happen often.
It doesn't happen often.
But you can almost write them up for a Final Four bid.
You're right. That was Middle Tennessee State. Yeah. Man.
What about Jim Boeheim?
Jim Boeheim, I got a lot of respect for him. I'm glad you brought that up, Ronell, because that's another topic that me and you were discussing last week, and that goes into the Kevin Stallings hiring for today. Just looking back at Jamie Dixon and how they beat Syracuse 3 times this year, had no business being in the tournament. What I gave Jim Boeheim credit for was, and if you watched last week's game, I don't know if you guys watched it over the weekend. We all know that they're known for one thing: they're 1-3-1 zone.
Right.
He made an adjustment in that game I'd never seen him do ever before against Virginia. He started pressing them 94 feet. I've never seen Jamie Dixon go to an adjustment after halftime. It's been the same grind out, boring basketball that we've watched for 13 years. So kudos to Jamie Dixon. I thought he was the best coach in Pitt history, but everybody just needed a fresh start.
Well,
So,
you got your wish, Stack. He's gone, or you have
Kevin Stallings.
They could have
Jeter's not happy.
hired me as the coach. And I would have been happy. Here's my thing. When DeWan and them did not make the Final Four,
Oh, that was terrible.
terrible.
that was the second I wanted Jamie Dixon out
Terrible.
of here.
There's no way they shouldn't have made
As
the
Charles
Final
Barkley
Four.
I was the
Terrible.
first
Terrible.
person. I had to be the first person in Pittsburgh that wanted Jamie Dixon out.
Yeah,
And
you
my
wanted him gone
wishes-
early.
And my wishes are finally here. Even though he stepped out, I'm just glad it's a clean slate. Like I said, they could have hired me.
Let me ask you this. If it wasn't Kevin Stallings, who did you want to see replace, even in excluding the Millers? Because I always
Right.
thought that was
No,
a
that
long
was a
shot.
pipe
Who would you
dream.
like
I
to
did
see
not have
this
a
coach?
name. I wanted a younger guy. You know what I mean? I wanted a younger guy, probably mid-major. You know, the prototypical that everyone's been
Bryce
kind
Drew
of
type.
requesting. You know, but I just wanted Jamie Dixon out of here. I didn't really
Fair
have
enough.
a
You got
name.
your wish. Hey, let's jump to these phone lines. We were getting flooded a little bit. Caller, say your name, where you're calling from.
Yes, Noor.
Hey, how you doing, Miss Noor?
I'm just fine, and I'm loving the show.
Oh, well, thank you.
I wanted to go back in time at Oliver when had Oliver Bears and my brother in 1956 played for Oliver.
What year was that, ma'am?
1956.
Okay.
56, okay.
Championship, and they played Fifth Avenue, and they won the championship.
Okay.
Okay.
Some
So
great.
it's back to back. But young people don't realize that to be good, you have to be with each other from all 12 years. And that's what happened.
Who was the
They
star
were-
player? Who was the star player on that team in 1956? Do you remember, ma'am?
Her brother,
My brother,
What
Joe
was
Parker.
his name?
Joe Parker.
Joe Parker.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look him up.
Okay.
Okay, well, he had 13 scholarships, but he didn't know it because they didn't. So one day, office, his principal, and he pulled out all these scholarships
Wow.
Wow.
that my brother had. His mother didn't know, passed away.
Wow.
Now, question for you.
My thing is,
I know back in the day, especially like in the 50s, a lot of African American athletes that were coming out during that time, their path of success was to go to a historically black college. Was he getting recruited by any of the Southern black schools for basketball or football?
yes, he went to Knoxville, Tennessee.
Wow, okay.
Can you repeat that?
And he was so great at Knoxville
Knoxville.
that the Globetrotters asked him to come with them and go to New York. So they kept him for 2 years with St. Aaron.
That's awesome.
Oh, man.
It was wonderful because he was Rudolph basketball for Tennessee.
That is
And
awesome.
they was on the team, nobody was allowed to do that because it was illegal.
Okay.
I would definitely have to look him up.
All right. Well, Miss
Thank-
Norris giving us a history lesson. I
History
appreciate
lesson.
it. I
and
appreciate
love
it, Miss
history.
Norris.
Thank you so much for calling in. I'm definitely going to look him up. Joe Parker. Thank
I just
you.
want to say one more thing.
Okay.
Dr. J. Will Chamberlain offered him in black school. After he retired, they were still from the Pittsburgh and grabbed my brother to play basketball at age 50.
Wow. That's wow.
So that's why the black colleges are great.
Okay.
Awesome.
Hey, well,
Okay, love you.
all
Thank
right,
you
all
so
right,
much,
too.
man.
Thank you,
You
Miss
have a
Norris.
wonderful day.
All right, let's stay on the phone lines. Caller, say your name, where you're calling from.
Yeah, this is LD from Point Breeze.
Hey, what's going on, LD?
Hey,
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the Alderdice game.
Okay.
At the beginning of that game, they missed quite a few layups.
You're right. I think
absolutely
Nerds,
right.
they missed about three
That's
point-blank layups.
Could have been up 20 points in
Yeah,
the first
you're
quarter.
right.
You're right about that.
And they needed those points.
They needed
did.
every one of
Every
them
one of
points.
them.
And my only question also was that Alderdice, they played, I guess it was a zone defense they were playing. You got to change the defense a little. They were killing them inside. Change the defense a little. Give them a different look. Even if you can't stop them, give them a different look.
Yeah.
I think they did that because they started reaching and getting into foul trouble, so they were trying to protect their guys. Because I sat right behind Alderdice bench in that game, and Coach Walensky was hesitant to make some substitutions. He looked a little hesitant, and he went to the bench when he absolutely had to.
Yeah, and when he did that second quarter when he went to the bench, that's where the floor
floodgates
kind of fell out, and they couldn't even bring the ball up the court, after we went to the bench. So I think he was kind of limited that game because Roman Catholic, like you said, was so deep, like that Perry team, that once he put the subs in, the difference in talent was just so great, it wasn't even fair. So I think he did that to kind of, like you said, Stack, to save his team from fouling because they were in foul trouble from like the second quarter on. LD, you still there?
Yes. Also, I think that they wanted to feature Creighton in that game. I think Jackson should have got more shots in the first quarter especially. But it looked to me as they were trying to feature Creighton because he would handle the ball, the shot, and then he'd drive to the hole. If you got a guy like Jackson, he got to get more shots, in my opinion, early in the game.
I kind of disagree with you that on LD because I actually sat behind the goalpost and I was watching Jackson's movements closely. And for the first time all season, now I watched him play 6 times, he was getting closely guarded better than anybody guarded him all year. The shooting guard that's going to Penn State University, he's a heck of a defender. That's when coaching comes into play to call a timeout and run a specific play to try to, in sets to get your star player open. This was a game about stars being stars. I mean, because as you saw in the second half, the cream rose to the crop as far as Roman Catholic is concerned. And it seemed like Ramon Creighton was a little bit of a fish out of the water in the second half because if you've seen in the first half, he was being real aggressive getting to the hole. But in the second half, it's always James Jackson's turn. And he was having trouble finding him in lanes. There was only one play that I saw that was ran out of a set where, I don't know if you remember the play, where Jackson went out and then cut back door, and it was a perfectly timed play where he got 2 points. Those are some of the things when your shot's not falling because Jackson had actual defense in his face all night long. Sometimes you got to run some plays to get your star open, and I don't think Buddy Walensky did a good enough job in doing that.
Yeah, and just one more point. The schools in Philly, like Roman Catholic,
Right.
they have their students, but like if I attended a public school, I could just say I want to go to Roman Catholic.
Right, yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier.
And then on top of that, any student can just transfer. I can't see why the PIAA lets them have a different set of rules than we have here in Western Pennsylvania.
Right, it should be across the board. Everybody plays by the same rules. I agree.
Exactly.
Again, I just disagree with your point, fellas. I understand what you're saying in regards to you want to play by a fair set of rules, but at the end of the day, if you can play, you can play. And I just believe that when you get a team like this, like the Alderdice Dragons, that's been, touted as, one of the best teams in history over the last 24 months. And I'm just speaking how I was feeling back, because I had a chip on my shoulder. Even though we were the best team in the city and everybody knew it, I still had a chip on my shoulder because I wanted to prove a point. None of this matters if we don't bring home that state championship. And they had every opportunity. I know that, guys are hurt. I mean, we had guys on our team. I felt that we should have won back-to-back state championships. We lost a couple players. We had a guard that was major Division I talented by the name of Steve Greer. He was lost for the season, mid-season, because of his grades. I don't cry sour grapes about that. I just felt like when you got that opportunity, you got to seize that moment. Everything's not going to be fair in life, and I just felt that what I saw out of that first quarter, they looked like that they were game and ready to play. And as the game wore on, the better team just won the game. And you are who you are. I mean, they had a great season, but that's just how I feel about it.
Right. And my last point, the best team I've ever seen in Western Pennsylvania has been the 1965 team that Simi Hill played on.
Midland.
I heard a lot about that team.
Norm Van
now,
Leer.
I can go for that.
Norm Van Leer, okay.
I can go for that.
You're going way back.
Okay, thanks a lot, fellas.
All right, LG, thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Man, we going back into the 60s.
Hey,
I thought somebody was going to say
People
the
want their
67
respect.
Ambridge.
Shit, somebody came with 1956. They want their props. I feel
Right,
them
right.
too. I totally agree.
Hey, let's stay on the phone lines. Caller, say your name, where you're calling from.
Gentlemen, how y'all doing? It's Kelly Russell.
Hey, what's going on,
Kelly,
Cal?
what's up?
Hey, great show today. Y'all all over the board. First, I missed the first 10 minutes of the show, but I'm sure y'all done it. I just want to give the Alderdice basketball team one heck of a praise and congratulations. It may have not ended the way you wanted it to, but you know something? The last 2 years have been one heck of a ride, and I'm thankful for all that those young men have done athletically for not only their school, but the city of Pittsburgh and the fans who watched them over the past couple of years. And I wish them all the success in the world and all they do post-high school.
There you go. Couldn't sit any better, Cal. Now we got to wait another 10 years for another great City League team.
Hopefully not.
So we enjoyed it, but we'll see what happens over these next 10 years, Kelly.
Hey, I remember when, and I don't know if Stack mentioned it, but after Shenley had won state, he always made the comment that, the next great city team like that wasn't even in the womb yet. And then he made the comment later, little did we know they were in the third grade.
Right.
But I don't want to beat up the point of the whole championship game. I have it on my DVR. I haven't watched it like y'all was there. And it may have not ended the way we wanted to, but I'll put it like this, and I don't know, Stack, if you mentioned this, but seriously, Stack went to college with Tony Carr's dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're in the Giant Center. Stack's talking to Tony Carr's dad's friend, and then George Harvey Cook was with us as well, who's the uncle to the Jackson twins.
Right.
And it was just nothing but love. The Jackson twins came around. We just there talking about the game, traps for Roman, you won championship, good team. Stack's boys is like, yo, you talking about your nephews, yeah, like they real good. And like I said, James walked over, they was like, hey, good game, man, good game, good luck. And it was just nothing but love right there. Like even though Roman had won, there's people from Roman, there's people from Alderdice, and it's love all the way around. And to me, that was one of the bigger things that a lot of people probably didn't get to see. But to me, that was one of the most special things of the night. It had things were better, we was all gonna go hang out that night too.
Right. I hear you on that, Cal.
Cats was tired, not feeling well, but hey, like I said, props to Alderdice. I thank y'all for the run and much success in the future and all y'all do.
Okay.
Well, let me just say one thing about that, and Kelly, you brought that up. Even though I did vent at the beginning of this, about my feelings toward the whole transferring rule and players transferring in and out, but Kelly is right. Tony Carr, the point guard for Roman Catholic, I know his dad pretty well. We went to college together. His dad played basketball at Cheney, and I ran into him. We were all talking, and some of the other guys, some of his friends also played basketball at Cheney, and we. It was like a Cheney reunion up there, and then Cook came over there and started talking also. But I'm happy for those guys at Roman Catholic. I'm now rooting for them. I'm a fan of theirs now. I just don't like the way the whole transfer rule goes down. But those guys are at Penn State, and I told Anthony
so they
Carr.
can turn it around.
I told Anthony Carr, I said, look, I'm now rooting for your son. I'm rooting for your son. I'm rooting for Nasir Bostic and Lamar Stevens because they're at Penn State now. And I hope they dominate.
Good luck turning that program around. I mean, those are three a good start.
Absolutely.
3 good players.
Those are 3 players Pitt could use.
Yeah, we'll see if Kevin Stallings can do anything.
Absolutely.
Kel, what do you think about the hire?
I'm the type, and Stack will understand this when I say this, like, I'm going to give you a chance before there's any criticism. And Stack will think back when the Steelers drafted Bud Dupree. I'm like, and I know Stack was very critical of the pick. I'm like, dude, they ain't even played a down of football yet. So I'm a firm believer. I'm going to give you a chance before I say anything. But personally, I always wanted Greg Marshall as the coach, and I don't understand why his name never come up. I understand that like a year ago, the Wichita State people ponied up to get him, but that was the guy I always wanted to see to come to Pitt.
I think it was a matter of finances with Greg Marshall. I think actually he's been at Wichita State how many years now?
I couldn't even tell you.
Believe it or not, he's one of the upper echelon, highest paid coaches out there at a mid-major school. So I think that would have been out of Pitt's price range in order to get him. But I do like the choice. I love him as a coach. He would have been phenomenal for Pitt.
Great.
So that's crazy when we just learned how much Jamie was making. So Greg must have been making more than Jamie.
I believe so.
At Wichita State, you think, oh, man. I don't know, man.
I think he's a phenomenal coach.
He got a Fred Van Fleet to go to Wichita State. I don't know if Pitt's ever had a point guard that good.
Yep.
Right. I don't know. So, but one thing about Stallings, he has brought in some NBA talent level at Vanderbilt. Their standards are a lot harder to get in than Pitt, so we'll see,
I'm lukewarm on him right now, but I'm willing to give him a shot. He has had some, measure of success down at Vanderbilt University, but at the same time, Scott Barnes had, said all through the media that I'm looking for up-tempo. How much up-tempo did they actually play at Vanderbilt? Because if you look at the stats, Pitt averaged about 75 points a game this past season. Well, Vanderbilt was like just behind them at 138th in the nation at 75.9 points. So I'm just trying to figure out what up-tempo is he talking about that he wants to visualize and see here at Pitt.
Well, Stallings did say on the radio, because I heard him, he said that he coaches according to his team.
Okay.
We'll see. And the pace
Fair
was,
enough.
they did say the pace was faster than Pitt, but, I got middle school teams that play faster pace than Pitt. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's hope he doesn't drop too many F-bombs and talk about killing players. And, this whole Shelton Jeter thing is a little iffy to me.
That's just another thing that's
Jeter,
just so
I guess Jeter just can't get away.
How do you get past that? I mean, and that guy's worked so hard to work on his game because I didn't see him in his early years. Ronell's the expert on this. He could speak to that better than I can. But he was telling me he was a work in progress. Well, it seems to me I'm starting to see the finished product. And that boy, he's gotten better every year. So how do you look a coach in the eye that wouldn't even let you get out of your scholarship, and now he's going to coach you for a
anywhere
second time?
but Pitt?
I think that's just a slap in his face. I mean, where do you go if you're him?
Shelton Jeter, to his credit and his father's credit, they handled it like a champ. They basically they're trying to wipe the slate clean and start over.
And let's hope Stallings does the same thing.
I
It's
hope
one
so.
thing for them to do it.
You
but
ain't
then
down
again,
south no more. You're up north. So.
So we'll see. Kind of a legend. The Jeter name around these parts is, pretty good. So hopefully he does them right this time. But we'll see. It's, already 2 4-star recruits have already opened up their recruiting. So he's going to have to jump back on that pretty heavy, maybe kind of lean first year for him. I don't know.
Remains to be seen.
We'll see, Kel. Hey, March Madness, I know you're happy North Carolina's still in it. Things are breaking their way.
Yeah, I told you when we talked about this. Lou, I'm not getting cocky or nothing, but who needs to be in this national championship game is North Carolina and Oklahoma.
That's
Buddy
right.
Hill what Buddy Hill has done in this tournament is phenomenal. With North Carolina, it was always about they got the talent, but can the talent come together? And I still tell you, like I told you when we were going out to Reading, to this day, I felt the only team that could have beat Kentucky in that tournament was North Carolina, but unfortunately, Kendall Marshall gets hurt, and they end up losing to Kansas. So Saturday is the Final Four. I'm hoping that Syracuse doesn't come with this press, but I'm expecting it. And everything that Syracuse has done in this tournament, I'm hoping North Carolina can weather the storm. I'm hoping Oklahoma can weather the storm. And come Monday night, unfortunately, it's the day after the WrestleMania, which is always the best Raw, but I'll be
You
pushing
gotta
back
throw the
and forth
WrestleMania
between
out
Raw. Oh, got to. Even though I'm not that hype about it, Stack will tell you the Raw after WrestleMania is always one of the best Raws ever.
Always
but I'll
the
be
best.
flipping back and forth between the game and a Raw, especially if it's North Carolina, Oklahoma. Go Heels!
All right, Kel, man. Thanks for the call, man. And
All right, fellas, y'all have a good one.
All
You
right,
too,
all right.
man.
Hey, we do have some Syracuse. That's Syracuse, North Carolina. One team is on probation, and one team is under investigation. And that whole, so I don't know how you look at that. situation there. I picked Oklahoma from the very beginning in my bracket. I'm hoping they still do it. Buddy Hield, he's even doing better than I thought. If we could run some of Oklahoma Buddy Hield's highlights. I think he can be a star, a very good player at the next level. I know there were questions about him. I think right now he's answering a lot of them, the way he's put this team on his back. Guys, what do you think about this March Madness coming up?
It's been a year that a lot of teams flew under the radar. It's not one of them years where you got 4 number 1 seeds or an all-star team like the Kentucky team with Anthony Davis on it.
Loaded.
But you do got a lot of parity. As far as Buddy Hield, they had an exciting season. I think he's a phenomenal player. As far as his NBA prospects, I'd like to see him be able to put the ball on the floor a little bit better because I think he's listed at 6'3", 6'4". Right. That's the size of Steph Curry, and he's an actual point guard. So I was having this discussion with somebody the other day. They were asking me, like, is he going to be a superstar? I said, that remains to be seen because I said it's different in college, when you can get your shot off and then going against pros against a DeMar Rosen who's 6'7" with long arms or a Klay Thompson or a Jimmy Butler because that's who's going to be guarding him. But there's no doubt. I mean, the boy's stroke is fire. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen a stroke. His stroke is better than what Stephen Curry's was at Davidson to me. Ooh. I mean, I'm being honest with that. I mean, at this point in the game, Buddy Hield's jumper was better. He's that good. So I expect them to do big things in the Final Four. But that Villanova team, they're tough. Yeah. They got a lot of nice guard play, and that's what you need to win at this time of the year. You got to have great guards, and Jay Wright. He has great guard play every year. So.
Now, I know they played earlier in the year, and Oklahoma got them pretty good, but that was way back in December. I'm hoping Oklahoma could do it because they have a history of getting here and folding up. Hopefully they could do it. Stack, what do you weigh in on this?
As far as Buddy Hield, now, he's a senior, correct?
Right.
He's playing against, now, this isn't back in the 80s and 70s when you were playing against other seniors. You're playing against dudes that just came out of high school.
Great point.
So he's getting a shot off against kids.
Great point.
Is he going to be, on the next level, will he be able to get that shot off, as you were saying, against grown men his age and older? There's a big difference from that. I'm not going to take away from Buddy Hield. He looks great going against kids. I want to see.
He's got a great point. He's got something on that one. I can't argue with him.
I want to see how he does on the next level.
Going against grown men on the next level. Man.
First of all, he's going against other college athletes. They may be freshmen. They may be sophomores.
This isn't Danny Manning going against dudes his age.
Danny Manning and the others.
Oh man, Danny Manning.
But Danny Manning was going up against other. He was a 22-year-old going up against other 22-year-olds. Right. It was a different ball game back then.
Yes, it was.
Right.
Good point.
That's true.
Keith Smart shooting over another 22-year-old to win for Indiana. Freddie Banks for UNLV shooting against another 20.
Banks.
That it's different now. You got 23-year-olds shooting over 17-year-olds or 18-year-olds in some cases.
Right. Well, one thing we're going to agree upon, he's had a great tournament so far. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar at the next level, but people were talking second round or something. I think he's going to be a little better than that. I think he'll be a very solid player. Like you said, his handle may need to come up at the next level, but I think he'll be a solid player, man. I think people were underselling him even before this year. But we'll see. So any predictions real quick?
I like his game.
Real quick, who's your prediction? The Villanova game, we only got 1 minute.
I like Nova.
You like Nova? How about the other game? North Carolina, Syracuse. How about you, Will?
I like North Carolina and Villanova to meet on Monday night, and I'd like Villanova to get their second national championship.
Okay. I'm calling Oklahoma, North Carolina, and I'm hoping Oklahoma wins. I can't stand to see North Carolina win it again. Come on, Oklahoma, Buddy Hield. I'm on the bandwagon. Let's go. Hey, for Will Macon, Ronell Stackhouse, I'm Luther Dupree. We got the round table coming up for the greatest teams in high school. PA, Pittsburgh High School basketball coming up. Make sure you join us. Hit us up if you want to be in it. Check us out on our website, SCSportsWorld.com. We'll check you out next time.